Hey guys, and welcome to TJ Tech. Today we're going to be looking at the Nokia 7 Plus, a phone that comes with Android 1, which basically means that you're going to have more of a stock Android experience with no extra bloatware, no extra apps, no duplicate apps, and with probably a very, very quick update to the latest versions of Android. So Android P is right around the corner. This is probably going to get it very, very soon. There tends to be a contract of about 2 years of regular updates. I don't know what it means after the 2 years, but this is very new. So, I mean, it's relatively new. And so we'll have to see after 2 years. It comes in one variant, which is 64 GB internals with 4 GB of RAM. They have this little lip on the Nokia devices that makes it really easy to pull the whole phone out. The phone sits on the right side over here, so I'm just gonna take that and move it aside. Wow, that's quite a big phone. Cutouts as usual. Underneath this, you actually get a case, which is pretty cool. Also worth pointing out is that it actually has the SIM card tray literature underneath as well. And then you have this little section on the side. USB cable, USB Type-C, headphone jack, and it's an aux. And of course you have the power brick itself. With a chunky phone, I guess comes a chunky power brick. So now of course, let's focus on the phone itself. You can see that it's completely wrapped in plastic all around. In one of my previous unboxings, I didn't really enjoy this experience and it looks to be in a very similar way. So let's just get right into it. Let me assure you that is not a fun experience, but whatever, it protects the phone really well. So this particular phone is obviously the black and copper phone, so it's got these beautiful copper accents around everything, around the edge of the phone. You've got it around the camera, the fingerprint sensor, the logo, everywhere. I think this looks slick. It's got this sort of matte finish at the back. The screen has sort of got this curvy looking feel to it on the edges, but then you're faced with this sort of sharp edges, which I guess is not necessarily a bad thing. It gives it a very sharp feel all around, but then it's got a good grip to it. So it definitely feels very comfortable in the hand. Not disappointed with that at all. I do feel like I would want to slap a case on this, and it's nice to see that they have included a case in the box. And the case is pretty decent. It does take away from the look. It doesn't, it kind of looks bluish even. So unfortunately that's not very great. On the front we have the 6-inch screen. It's not edge to edge, not bezel-less, because it has a forehead and a chin. And it has the Nokia branding on the top right over here, followed by the front-facing camera, earpiece. And at the bottom of the phone we have the USB Type-C port, which is nice to see, speaker and a mic input port, I guess. On the right side we have the buttons. On the left, we only have the SIM card tray, nothing else. On the top, we have the headphone jack, which is nice to see because they're getting more and more rare. On the back of the phone, you do have a slight camera bump, but it's got this sort of like soft, gradual bump, which is nice. It's not as sharp as a lot of the bumps out there. A flash, dual camera setup with Zeiss optics, a fingerprint scanner, the Nokia name, and it's got Android 1. Over here with the 1 underlined and a little bit of information here. Actually, I think this looks really nice. The way the branding is done, the way everything is put onto the back of the phone, very good job. Let me have a look at the SIM card tray. This is, of course, a dual SIM tray. You can see that it says SIM, and it's got 1 written over here, which points to this side, which is the dedicated SIM 1 slot. And the second tray on the right side becomes the SD card and second SIM slot. So you can't use both at the same time. You can either use a second SIM or the SD card slot. So of course, with any new phone, you have the system update. So while it's doing that, let me run you through some of the specs, which I kind of already went through, but it's got a USB 2.0 Type-C port, which is not USB 3.0, obviously, which means you may not get the fastest transfer speeds, but I think that's fine. It's an okay trade-off. The phone is also priced at 1,600 dirhams, or around about 25,999 Indian rupees. So just under 26,000 rupees. The battery on this is 3,800 milliamp hours. And Nokia claims that it can last up to 2 days, but of course it comes with some assumptions that they've made. I'll leave all the details of that in the description below. Something interesting about it is I think it achieves the long battery life with a relatively low power processor, along with 4 gigs of RAM and the sort of HD display. So it's not a 4K display, not a 2K display. It sort of has a low resolution, which means it requires low battery. I'm actually very happy with that kind of a setup in this kind of telephone, but let's have a look at that screen a little bit. Not too bad. I mean, viewing angles are not that great, but I think it'll get the job done for most people. Now this phone also comes in essentially 2 colors. The one that we have over here is the black, copper black color, and you also get this in a white and copper color, which is the other one that's very interesting. I wonder how that would look. I think this is probably the one to get because that black and copper look is just on point. It's such a beautiful looking phone, I gotta say. Alright, so now we went through essentially 2 updates. Let's give this a go, and if it still needs another update, I'm not going to go through it this time around because it's taking too long. Thankfully, it didn't ask me for another update. Let me set this up quickly. Alright, so here we have Android 1, and already there's some more installing happening. So the phone tends to be, any phone that you start up for the first time is probably going to be a little slow because it's doing a lot of stuff in the background, setting things up and downloading email and contacts and whatnot. So it does take a little bit of time, but let's have a look at the phone itself because this is Android 1, which means it's as stock as it can get. Already getting emails. As stock as it can get. And another cool thing about it is that you will have one app for everything. So you have one Files app, one camera app, one calendar app, one calculator even sometimes has 2, clock app, email app, messaging app, they're all one. So there's 0 bloatware, depending on what you count as bloatware. For me, play games, play music, play newspaper, or whatever it's called is bloatware, but bloatware that I'm ready to live with because it's there in practically every other phone, even a stock Android phone. So that's pretty cool. It comes with nothing. Love that background though. So what's Android 1 about? I mean, Android 1 essentially is Google giving Android as a service kind of, and they guarantee that you're going to have about at least 2 years of updates regularly. So this is going to be as new as possible. And to check that out, I've not done this before, so let's go to System, About, and you can see that it's already on Android 8.1.0 with an Android security patch of 1st of May. What day is it today? We are on the 25th of May, so this is a pretty good update. I don't think phones update this quickly, so I'm excited to see what happens to this phone once you get into Android P, when that launches, what happens. Looking at the camera of this phone, it's a dual camera setup. One's a 12 megapixel sort of wide angle camera, the other one's a 13 megapixel telephotic camera, and they both are obviously Zeiss optics. So let's have a look at what the camera is like. So I'm gonna just put this guy in there, open up the camera mode, and you can actually do optical zoom. And what's really cool about this is that if you just take the photo thing and you put it on top, the Pro mode comes in. And this used to be there in a lot of the older Nokia phones like that guy over there. But it's really cool that they brought it back. It's such a simple Pro mode to use actually. So you can have manual focus, you can even do white balance. There's a lot of stuff over here. You can change your ISO on the fly. It's really nice. Shutter speed. The whole concept of this is really nice. You can even adjust the exposure. So the whole app, I think, experience is very nice. And it does obviously, if you saw that, it has something called Ozo audio, which kind of like gives you an immersive audio experience from all around. Having a look at the pictures themselves, pretty nice, good detail actually. Obviously I'll have to do a proper in-depth look at this. The full in-depth will be on Absolute Geeks for sure. From the onset, it looks really nice. This has been the initial impressions of the Nokia 7 Plus. So far the phone, I mean, it's brand new, it seems okay. We'll have to do an in-depth look at the phone to really understand more about it. The camera seems pretty promising, and the things that I'm most curious to check out is the battery life, how well it performs in long-term battery, long-term daily battery usage, and of course the camera. Those are the two things that I'm most curious about. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching, and hope you guys have a good one.